problem, right? And on same data item, when there are more than one reader and writer try to access the data, then what kind of problem occurs? The first one is reader-writer problem. When one person is reading, no other writer is allowed to write on the data item. When one person is writing something on the data item or updating the data item, no other person can read that until it will leave the critical section. Third problem is no two writers are allowed to update the data item parallelly. Means on my account at the same time, no two person can make the changes, or two person cannot book the same ticket of particular available seat of theater movie on the same time and the same uh, chair. So these kind of three things are not available, means not allowed. And the fourth problem is readers problem, means more than two readers are allowed. And we have gone through the solution of using semaphore and mutex, and I can say very simple C code. Through very simple C code, we have checked that this code will work for the all four types or not. So it was valid for the reader writer, writer reader, writer, and the last case is two readers. Let me explain the case for when there is one reader, the other reader is going to allowed or not. So the code, in our code, from the beginning, you need to write down RC is equal to 0. You have to focus on three variables, RC, mutex, and DB. DB is your critical section. Mutex is your, I can say, lock and unlock for entering and exiting from the critical section. And RC is a read count, means how many readers are there into that particular critical section at a time. So RC is equal to 0 initially, mutex and DB are 1. Now when reader 1 wants to enter into the critical section, it has to execute the reader's code. So as per the reader's code, while is equal to true always, down mutex. Means mutex value is going to down from 1 to 0. So here you can see the value of mutex will become, I can say, down, and from 1 it will become 0. Right? Down mutex means value of mutex becomes 1 to 0. Next thing, next line in a code is equal to RC is equal to RC plus 1. Reader counter is initially 0. So 0 plus 1 is equal to 1. Right? Now RC value is equal to 1. Now it will check the if condition. If reader's count is equal to 1, yes, it is true. Reader's count is equal to 1. Then down DB. We are having reader's count is equal to 1, then down DB. Value of DB will become 1 to 0. Now the final value of mutex is 0, RC is equal to 1, and DB is equal to 0. So this is the, I can say, down DB code. It is going to down DB. Next is up mutex. Mutex value is going to up. So your mutex will become 0 to 1. Now reader can enter into the database and read the data item. Right? What we have done first, we have increased the value of reader's count, we have down the value of mutex, we have down the value of DB, and then we have up the value of mutex, and then it will enter into the database, or we can say critical section, for accessing that data. Okay, now reader 1 is in the, I can say, critical section. At the same time, reader 2 is coming here. Now what we are having, when reader 2 comes, as per this, we are having RC is equal to 1, DB is equal to 0, and mutex is equal to 1. So the same thing I am writing here, RC is equal to 1, DB is equal to 0, because down DB and up mutex is equal to 1. Now when R2 want to enter into the second reader wants to enter or access the same data item, second reader has to do the same process, follow the same process. You can see here the code, while true will become as it is, down mutex. So mutex value was 1, and from 1 it will become 0. Next is RC is equal to RC plus 1. We need to check whether RC is equal to RC plus 1 or not. So I think this is not true. RC is equal to RC plus 1. I mean, sorry, it is going to check RC is equal to RC plus 1. It means 1 plus 1. We are having 1 because we are having already one reader into the critical section, and as per the previous code, the reader's count value was 1. So you can write down RC is equal to 1 plus 1, because we are already having one reader into the critical section. You can see here the code, RC value is equal to 1. So RC plus 1 is equal to 1. Now we are having two readers into the database, because reader 1 is already there and reader 2 tried to enter into the critical section. Okay, now what it will going to do, after this it is going to check this condition, RC is equal to 1. This is not true because RC value is 2. So it will not going to down DB. It will not execute this line. Directly what it will do? It will directly up the mutex value was 0 because we have down the mutex initially. You can see here starting first line down mutex. So mutex value is 0, and now again we need to up the mutex value, it will become 1. And after updating the mutex value, it will directly enter into the critical section. Now reader 3 can also come in this way, reader 4 can also come in this way. So any number of reader is allowed to enter into the critical section by executing this code. So more than one reader are allowed. Now if somebody wants to leave, if any reader wants to leave, so whenever somebody wants to exit from the critical section, it has to execute this code, this one, this code. So this code I am copying here. Down mutex, readers count is equal to readers count minus 1. If readers count is equal to 0, then up DB, up mutex and process the data. Now reader 2 wants to leave it leave from the critical section. So in that case, reader 2 has to execute the code. Now RC count is equal to 0 from the previous, DB is equal to 0 and mutex is equal to 1. This I have taken from here. RC is equal to 2, DB is equal to 0 and mutex we have up, so mutex is equal to 1. Now reader 2 wants to leave the critical section, so it heads to first down the mutex. Now we are having mutex value 1, which is going to decrease and become 0. Now next line is RC is equal to RC minus 1. Here we are having RC is equal to 2, 2 minus 1 is equal to 1. Now RC is equal to 1. It means now we are having only one reader. Reader 2 is leaving. Okay. Then up DB is equal to 0 to 1. And the next is up mutex. It means mutex will become 0 to 1. So this is the leaving code. So any process can leave. I think if what I can think, there is some down mutex means mutex will become 0, right? RC is equal to RC minus 1, 2 minus 1 is equal to 1. Okay, fine. 1. If RC is equal to 0, then down, then up DB. No, RC is not equal to 0, so we are not upping the DB. This is not come. Up mutex, this line will going to execute and mutex value will become 0 to 1, right? And it is going to leave the code because we have already down mutex into the first line. So this is not going to execute. And then next reader, one by one reader will going to leave the critical section. And then when last reader will leave, then we are going to up our DB value from 0 to 1. So final value we will get is 1, 1 and readers count will be 0. So 0, 1, 1, which was actually required in our code as per the given code to us. In all the lines you can see here, initially RC is equal to 0, mutex is equal to 1, DB is equal to 1, right? Here RC 0, mutex 1, DB 1. RC 0, mutex 1, DB 1. So after the last reader leaves, the code we will get is like this. Okay, now next point is we need to find out the solution of producer-consumer problem. I have explained you the producer-consumer problem, but solution that producer-consumer problem that we will see later on. Now I'm going to explain you what are the system calls. Okay, system calls provide the interface between the processor and the operating system. As we know that, let me show you one figure. I have not, I think, taken here. Let me show you one figure. See here, in operating system, we are having, are you able to see this diagram, the circle?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, fine. So process is executing into the two modes. The first one is user mode and the second one is kernel mode. Whatever program we are writing that is in high level language and that is going to execute through the kernel. So kernel is, we can say, heart of operating system. So as in when user wants to communicate with the kernel, user has to use some system calls. Via system call, user can interact with the kernel. When kernel wants to execute something, kernel don't have to use system call. But whenever user want to open some file, close some file, save some data, anything, any hardware devices like printer it wants to access, user process wants to access, or any kind of hardware software functionality, when user wants to access, user has to send system call to the kernel, and then through the system call, through this kind of context switching, kernel will reply and it can allow the permission to the user to access the particular system call, or we can through the via the system call it can permit and allow user to use the services of operating system. So sometimes it is going to create overhead. This is called context switching. Every time it has to switch to the kernel and kernel will allow the functionality. While kernel is doing whatever they want independently. Kernel don't have to use the system call, but in user mode, we have to use the system call. So again, we are having one question in our mind, why don't we access everything or execute all the processes in kernel mode rather than user mode? To reduce the overhead, to reduce the context switching, but this is not feasible because when user will crash, the entire OS will not going to crash. But when kernel mode will going to crash, the entire OS will crash. So if we are increasing overhead on the kernel of or doing all the processes and not using system call, then sometime it might be possible if kernel will hang or get some problem, then overall system will going to crash. That's why we are using context switching, or we can say system calls. So system call provide the interface between the processes and operating system. System calls are generally available as assembly language instructions for doing anything, for opening, for closing, for reading, just like a assembly level instruction it is available. System calls can also be made directly through the high level language program for a centric system. Unix system calls can be invoked directly from a C++ program. Now, scenario of the system call, an example how system call can be used. Consider a simple program to copy data from one file to another. Okay, so whenever I want to copy some data from one program to another, so either I have to even give the system call or I have to use graphical user interface or command, right? Copy con, something like command, or using mouse I have to do copy paste. So first input of the program will be the name of the both file, right? You have to give name to the both file. The name can be specified depending on the design of the operating system. Once the file name are obtained, the operating system or the program opens an input file and creates an output file. Each of these operations requires the other system call and may encounter the possible error condition. System call occur in a different ways depending on the computer used. More information is required than just the identifier of the desired system call. The exact type and amount of information varies according to the operations system call. Yes, any problem? This is just theoretical. I'm explaining you how what type of operating system calls and which thing it is going to include. It is very easy. Even you don't read now, you can write down in exam. For instance, to get an input, we need specific file of the device to use source and the address and length of memory buffer in which input is should be made. Please switch off your mic. Three methods are used in passing parameters to the operating system. The simplest approach is to pass the parameter through the register. Second one is by storing the parameters in blocks and passing address through the register. Final parameter can be used to push into the stack by the program and pop by the operating system. Now the type of system calls are five: process control system call, file system call, device management, information maintenance, and communication. Now, process control system calls are when I want to create, or we can say execute, save, I can say terminate any process. So we need a system call, and abort, load to execute any process, to create any process, to terminate any process, and wait for some time, allocate some free memory. You need a system call. User mode need a system call. User has to tell to kernel that I need to create one process. I need to now end this program. I need to now save this program. I need some memory, free memory. Next is file management system call. When you want to create any new file like Word file, PowerPoint file, you want to delete some file, open it, close it, read, write, execute, right? Give some or fill some attributes. You need a system call. User need a system call. Third type of system call for the device management system call, like use of any hardware devices, request for the printer, request for the camera, release that device, read, write, reposition of that devices, set some attributes of that device, attach and detach pen drive or some other devices, camera and something like that. Next type of system call is information management system and maintenance system call. So some of the system calls are under the information maintenance are get time or date, set time or date, logically attach or detach the device, information maintenance, get system data, get some calendar, some process attribute, file and device attribute. You want to know the current date, you want to know the month of that particular year. So for time, for date, you need a system call. The next type of system call is communication system call. So create, delete, communicate, these are the system call. You can send and receive message through that, transfer status information, attach or detach remote devices. You want to communicate with some other processes, like through the internet you want to communicate, you want to send some mail, you want to do the chatting of something like that. So in that case also you need to use the system call. You can see here process creation. Whenever a new process is going to create, the fork system call is going to execute. One fork means using one fork you can create two child process. Fork is used to create the parent. Fork is a parent process, but it is used to create a child process. Using one fork command you can create two child. Here this is or this one, two child you have created. Again using this two fork, using one fork you can again create two child. Using this fork you can again create two child. So these are the, now this become parent process. So one fork operation is able to create two child or two children processes. For exit process, you can see here just like a Microsoft instruction, high level, I can say low level instruction. So exit process, you are having exit command in Unix. Wait for single object, you are having wait system call. Creating a file, you have open system call. For reading file, you are having read system call. For writing file, you are having write system call. For file manipulation, these are the file manipulation operations. These are the process to create process. Wait for single object of the process to exit the process. For the file creation of file, you are having open system call. Reading of the file, you are having read system call. Writing of the file, you are having write system call. Close handle, you are having close system call. For device manipulation, set console mode. So IOCTL read console, read command, write console. You are having write command using this device manipulation. You can do the read, write, and set console operation. And information management, maintenance in which you can get the current process ID. So get PID, set timer, alarm, sleep mode. So sleep call, backup call, something like this coming to this information maintenance. For communication means two processes are communicate with each other. They are sending and receiving the messages. So you can create pipe, create file, manage, mapping command, SHM get, map view of the file, mmap, protection set file security in chmod command, initialize security descriptor, unmask command, set security descriptor group, chown. So these are the, I can say, some of the system calls. Next point is deadlock. Up to this, all of you understood or not? Let me ask you. पता चल रहा है ना इतना करवाया उसने सबको गाइस कि नहीं पता चल रहा है say yes or no तो હું આગળ જઉં
yes ma'am
અને એવું હોય ને તો એકવાર આપણે before your meet sem we will do the revision, okay? And see, the syllabus of this subject is a bit we can say lengthy. Subject is not tough, subject is easy, but you have to read it properly because syllabus is lengthy. So start reading it because in March, I think second week of March, you are having your meet sem exam. So start reading it. There are many topics still I have not covered from the first unit that I'll cover. I'll complete syllabus 100% from my side. You don't worry about that. But from your side also, you start reading and practice some more examples also. Subject is easy, no doubt. You can even score a good marks, but still it is important subject. So try to read it by yourself also. Okay, what is deadlock? Deadlock, all of you are, I think, aware of the deadlock. Let me know what is deadlock. पढ़ा है आपने शायद BBMS में मैंने पढ़ाया था. बोलो चलो deadlock क्या है? चलो कौन बोलेगा? आप हो कि नहीं मुझे कैसे पता चलेगा? आप कुछ बोलोगे ही नहीं तो. बोलो बोलो what is deadlock? Yes, what is deadlock? फिर तो मुझे लग रहा है कि everyone is sleeping. Khushali, what is deadlock?
It is like
Shreyansh? Yes, please.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Ma'am, deadlock is a situation where some means processes are blocked because of some processes are acquiring a resource and they are waiting for some another response.
Okay, good. Anyone else? Anyone else? Dhairya? Shrey?
ma'am same answer
नहीं बोलो आपको बोलना पड़ेगा.
મેમ એટલે ડેડલોકમાં જ્યારે પ્રોસેસ થતી હોય ક્યાં તો થ્રેટ એન્ટર થતો હોય ત્યારે બીજી સિસ્ટમ રિસોર્સને વેઇટિંગ પ્રોસેસમાં નાખી દે ત્યારે એ રિસોર્સને એની પ્રોસેસ હેલ્ડ થઈ જશે અને એ પ્રોસેસ શરૂ થઈ જશે.
Okay, fine. So deadlock is the situation where one process is waiting for the other process to release the resources and nobody is releasing resources. Everyone is waiting for other to release the resources. So you can see here, there is one single road. I can see here this DPS road, which is very narrow. Even when I go with my car, somebody else if coming from the other side, I cannot pass. Right? Either I have to go reverse or I have to push my car near to wall or somewhere to give him a space. But if I'll not do this kind of, if I'll not take reverse or I'll not push my car somewhere and the same that person will also not do, he will wait for me that madam will do that thing and I'll wait that no, this person will do that thing. and nobody will even give this chance to each other to go or move around, then this kind of situation will occur, and that is called deadlock. Means circular wait. Everybody is waiting for other to release the resources and nobody is releasing the resources, right? For example, there is one person, Dhruv, who is waiting at the canteen 1 and Kayur is waiting at the canteen 1, canteen 2, and Dhruv is telling that you please come here at canteen 1, I'm waiting, and Kayur is telling no, you have to come here at canteen 2, I'm waiting here. So both are waiting for each other in different canteens and nobody will meet each other, and this kind of situation will going to occur, and this is called deadlock. So the conditions for the deadlock are the mutual exclusion, non-preemption, circular wait, and circular. Mutual exclusion. Let me reply. What is the meaning of hold and wait, no preemption, circular? You already heard about all this word in previous subject. Let me know what is mutual exclusion. Okay, if you prevent any four of this condition, then deadlock is also going to prevent. Mutual exclusion is for shared resources. Read-only file do not lead to deadlock. Unfortunately, some resources such as printer and tab drive require exclusively accessed by the single process. So when file are read-only, there is no write permission is allowed, so deadlock will not occur. Second thing is some of the processes like printer. I have given print command first. So I'm the mutually some other processes are excluded with me that yes, you have given the first command, then you can use that printer. It means there is no deadlock occurs. Now hold and wait means what? Some of the processes are holding the resources and even asking for the new resources. No, this resource I will not give and I want new one also. Even if the process will complete, it is not going to release the resources. It is holding and asking for the new resources. So you need to prevent such kind of processes to hold the resources and asking for the new one. When its turn will complete, it has to release the resources. Once it will release, then it will going to ask for the new resources. Otherwise, it will not relieve the resources and asking for the other resources. So other process will not get the resources until it will going to release and it will go into the starvation. Like we have gone through the fork, right? One philosopher is continuously holding two fork and nobody means other philosophers are not going to get chance. Two philosophers are holding four forks, two and two, left and right. So remaining philosopher will going to get starvation. They'll not get turn to eat the spaghetti. No preemption. Preemption of the process resources allocation can prevent this condition of the deadlock. If no preemption is there, means they will not get chance to any high priority process until it is going to complete the execution. I have to give 1000 pages of printout, or then I'll not give chance to anybody. Sometimes some printer will going to have some problem, that person will not going to get the chance. So this is called no preemption. So this kind of situation cannot occur everywhere. If there is everywhere no preemption, the other process will not going to get the chance anytime. So in more majority of cases preemption will going to allowed, right? So whenever higher priority process will come, lower priority process has to give the chance to the higher priority process, and by doing this means it can preempt the process and give the chance. Now circular wait should not be allowed. You have to give the numbering or ordering of the processes and they have to execute into the strict order to remove that circular wait. Okay. Now we are having one banker's algorithm, but there is one big example. So for that I need at least one whole lecture. So I'm not going to start it right now.